What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? Um, just wanna have a conversation about UFOs and extraterrestrials. So I was just thinking. It occurred to me, like in the 50s, in the 60s, in the past. If you think about it, there were some pretty conclusive, well, not conclusive. There were some pretty good pictures of UFOs, flying saucers, unidentified flying objects. And during that time, if you think about it, most people did not have cameras on them. 99% of people did not have a camera on them. So it's pretty amazing to me that a lot of these photos were taken, were documented in photo, and some of them on film. But if you think about that today, almost every single person has a video camera, has a film camera on them in the form of a cell phone. Almost every single person on Earth. So if you just think about that, I mean, compare that to the 50s and then compare that to today, wouldn't you think that with the amount of people with cameras and recording devices, that there would be at least a lot more photos of UFOs, unidentified flying objects, extraterrestrials, aliens, etc., etc., etc. I mean, I think it's like a really clear. You can make a clear point that during the last 10, 20 years, there should have been an explosion of pictures of aliens all over the place, or UFOs. Pictures of clear pictures of UFOs, spaceships, unidentified flying saucers, all that stuff. But funny enough, if you think about it, there might be fewer of those pictures today than there were in the past. Why do you think that is? That is a pretty amazing thing if you think about it. Like, virtually every single person on this planet is walking around with a camera, with a film recorder, video recorder, and they take pictures and they film everything. As far as I can tell, virtually everything has been put onto film, onto videos, onto pictures. All right. Believe me, there are people ready to take that snap of a spaceship, ready to film a spaceship, a flying saucer, all that stuff. But amazingly, with those kind of numbers, with people with cell phones and on them, you hardly see any recording of flying saucers or extraterrestrials, etc., etc., etc. I mean, I think that's like something to think about. When I was a kid, I was pretty much into UFOs, aliens, flying saucers, all that stuff. I used to go to the library, get books on that. That used to be one of my biggest hobbies. And sadly enough, today, I don't know if I believe in UFOs, flying saucers, aliens anymore. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't believe in it, because because I do still believe that there is life outside of this planet. But I mean, it's pretty hard for me to believe if flying saucers and aliens were visiting this planet, that with 3-4 billion people having cameras, virtually every single one of them having cameras and a video recorder on them at all times, 24/7, that there is not a single clear picture of an alien or a spaceship taken off, a clear detailed picture or video of a spaceship taking off, landing, all that stuff. I mean, I've seen videos where there's lights in the skies, triangular formations and stuff like that. But there's a lot of times where I look up in the sky and I'll see like a triangular formation of lights, and it's an airplane. It's an airplane. So yeah, it's just pretty amazing to me that not just amazing, but I'm just pretty disappointed that at this time in human history, where every single person has a cell phone on them, there should be an absolute explosion of pictures of aliens, of UFOs, of every single imaginable thing possible. There should be at least a bunch, and when I say a bunch, I mean a ridiculous amount of clear pictures of aliens sneaking in the forest, walking around, spaceships going, taking off, UFO saucers taking off, landing, all that stuff. But amazingly enough, there aren't any. So, I mean, if you think about that in terms of the numbers, the amount of people who have cell phones, the amount of people who have video recording devices on them, on their phone at all times, we're not seeing any of it. We're not seeing any of it. So that kind of puts a damper on, in me believing that, that there are flying saucers visiting this earth. There are aliens that have visited this earth, this planet. I'm not gonna say that there aren't. I'm a pretty open-minded person, and I know the statistics as far as the amount of stars that are out that exist, the amount of universes that exist, the amount of galaxies that exist. But still, it's pretty disappointing to me that at this point in human history, with almost every single person with a camera, a videotape on them, that there are actually, as far as I can tell, actually fewer documentation in terms of photos and videotapes of aliens and flying saucers and UFOs and stuff like that. So I just want to throw it out there. I'm just surprised that people haven't actually made that connection as far as, as far as why, with so many people having recording devices these days, that there are just very, very, very few documentation of UFOs, flying saucers and such, and fewer clear pictures and videos of these occurrences. And surprisingly, there are a lot fewer people with these experiences of being abducted and stuff like that. Apparently, there were more abductions in the 70s and 60s, in the 50s than there are now, because I haven't been hearing stories. I mean, it's not in the news. I Google UFOs and stuff like that, but it's not in the news at all. So I'm just gonna assume that that's not even a thing that happens to does not happen to people at all these days. So let me know what you think about it. Those are just my thoughts.